All right. Moving on to round two. Let me get this back on the board. You guys. All right. Round two. So obviously here, this is going to be receiver territory. I think one of these receivers has to go off the board. And right now I'm gonna take Puka Nacua. I don't love this, and actually I think I actually did this a couple days ago where I mocked it all the way out through the first four rounds. I didn't have Nacua going just quite yet, but I'm gonna take Nacua here. I think he's a good player. I have some concerns about his ceiling with Devontae Adams because I feel like Stafford's going to move the ball around a lot, but I think he deserves a spot right here. Next up, in this next spot, Nico Collins has to go here. Now, I talked about some concerns with Nico Collins. His finish to last year only had the 100-yard game one time here when he returned from his injury. Hopefully, the two get on track. They added Christian Kirk this offseason, and then two, obviously, Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins in the draft. So this receiver room is loaded. Joe Mixon's still there. I have some concerns about Nico Collins' ceiling, but I do think he's deserved of a spot right here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Now I think this is where we can start to have a little fun, a little J-Hand fun. So we got Drake London here, who was phenomenal last season, finished as the wide receiver 6. Even when we saw Michael Penix come in, he had back-to-back 100-yard games to finish the season. So I really like Drake London a lot. You guys know I like Drake London, right? But then this is where things get interesting because we still got Christian McCaffrey. We got Breece Hall. We got Jonathan Taylor. For some of y'all, we got Ashton Genty down there. At the receiver position, we got a big name here in Tyreek Hill that I think is slipping down draft boards. Garrett Wilson, who's probably not getting enough love right now, right? So there are some fallen names that we haven't even thought about yet that aren't at the top here according to what the draft board should look like. I think for now, this Tyreek Hill's a little bit too big of a question mark for me. I think you got to go Drake London here, who I think Drake London should be phenomenal yet again. He finishes a wide receiver 6 last year. It's a good pick. It's not the sexiest pick in the world. Drake London goes here at this spot. Drake London. I think for my running back, it's very easy to go Christian McCaffrey here. Very easy. But I'm going with Jonathan Taylor. Okay? And I think Jonathan Taylor has been so undervalued recently when it comes to his rankings. He finishes the RB8 last year, missed 3 games. But did we not see this finish of the season? Had 500 yards in the last 3 games of last season. They're going to figure things out with Taylor, and he dealt with injury, but even earlier on, he was getting 100-yard games, getting used in the red zone with Anthony Richardson, without him. It doesn't matter. We have seen Jonathan Taylor be the RB1 before, 1,800 yards. So it's not like he's not talented. It's not like the situation got worse. Shane Steichen's a great coach, a great offense he runs. Now it's just about, is it Daniel Jones or is it Anthony Richardson? In either way, this team's going to be running the shit out of the football. 34 carries is as week 18. 32 carries, 29 carries. Like, they are going to feed Jonathan Taylor the rock. So his biggest issue over the last 3 seasons has been staying healthy. 11 games, 10 games, 14 games. And I think that's the only reason we're talking about Jonathan Taylor in the second round instead of the first round. Give me Jonathan Taylor right here at this spot. That's probably my biggest reach so far of the draft. I don't know if you guys agree with that. My biggest reach so far, Jonathan Taylor. Now, we're getting to the point now where it's either Tyreek Hill, some of the names that have fallen off, Tyreek Hill, you got Garrett Wilson, some of these names that have fallen off, but I do think Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall are both in consideration right here. This is where I think you got to take one of these backs, unless you're going to take Tyreek Hill. And I want to know, before I make my pick, who do you guys got? You guys got Tyreek Hill, CMC, Breece Hall. Who do you guys like? Justin, where do you have Mr. Ladd McConkey ranked? Outside of my top 15 receivers. I don't know if we're going to see him in the first 4 rounds here. I think I'd rather have Nico, Puka, Brown, and London over Thomas personally. I'm not mad at that. What up, Justin? You taking dynasty questions? At the end, I'll take some questions at the end. All right, so to answer the question, CMC, Breeze, Yeet Man, what's good, bro? Breeze, CMC. So we got a lot of CMC Breece. I think this is time for a running back as well. I don't think I'm wanting to take Tyreek Hill here. So either CMC or Breece. And I'll give you why Breece Hall is my pick. I think a lot of people are going to fade Breece Hall at this spot. A lot of people are going to fade Breece Hall. And I think CMC is a very worthy pick here. And if you took CMC over Breece Hall, I'm not mad at you at all. I think Breece is just as risky as CMC is. But the one thing with Breece Hall that I think it's easy to forget is that he was dealing with quarterback issues last year. His team went through multiple quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers dealing with stuff. The running backs, right? Braylon Allen was a part of the offense. Coaching changes. There was a lot there. And I think the biggest concern for everybody with Breece Hall right now is that, they could be using 3 running backs next season. I think, what does 3 running backs really look like? Is that they're all getting the same amount of carries? They're all getting the same amount of touches? No. Breece Hall, for what it's worth coming off of his injury, has not been a guy that gets 20 carries injured anyway. Look, if you look at his rushing attempts, there's only one game he had last year over 16 rush attempts. So it's not like that's some significant thing. Then you also get the Lions game passing coordinator who used Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs finished as the top 3 running back last year. I don't know that Breece Hall is Jahmyr Gibbs, but what I do know is that he's going to be a lot better than he was last year. He finishes the RB2 the year before that, and that was after a slow start. As long as we see the receptions, and this is what I'm banking on with Breece Hall, we know the big plays are there. I'm not worried about his yards per carry. We know the receiving is there. If we know that, we're going to be so much better off. He hasn't even had a lot of touchdowns yet. And if the touchdowns improve, we're there. He's in a contract year, 23 years old. I think Breece Hall is in for a really big season, and I'm willing to bet on that, even over a guy in CMC who I'll take here at the next spot. And I know I have McCaffrey low as compared to probably where he's at, and typically where I rank studs, right? Like when I go with studs, normally I'm going to rank CMC way, way higher than that. I have some big red flags about last season. Big red flags about last season. To not be able to finish the season last year, dealing with the Achilles injury, 28 years old. He's already kind of been earlier in his career, he was a little injury prone, right? In Carolina, he missed some games, and I think he got traded. This was the year he got traded, right? Should be. But I know he's missed time, right? No, this wasn't the year. He got hurt in back-to-back years. He got traded this season in 2022. He got injured in back-to-back years. So Christian McCaffrey's already been a back that's had trouble staying healthy. So I'm kind of banking on I know Christian McCaffrey has and by the time drafts start, maybe I'm pushing him up into the first round. I think the risk for me is so high right now, and especially knowing that the Niners don't have any other offensive weapons outside of Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings and George Kittle. I'm kind of concerned about Christian McCaffrey having the same value he has and staying healthy throughout the entire year. If you think Christian McCaffrey's going to stay healthy, then you probably need to put him up here. He would be up here in that area if he was going to stay healthy. I think Christian McCaffrey could be RB1. I think he could be RB100 when it's all said and done, and that Achilles just isn't right. A, he's got to make it through this offseason, and B, I didn't even see this report. This is kind of concerning. Get Christian McCaffrey the ball as much as possible. I don't see a world where he stays healthy with this kind of workload. I just don't. I don't. I would love to. I do not see it. I pray that I'm wrong. As a Niner fan, I pray that I'm wrong. I just don't see it. All right, next up, I've been talking about Tyreek Hill, been alluding to it. I think Tyreek Hill is the next pick here. Now, a lot of people are not going to be on Tyreek Hill after the last season. I think there's still potential here with Tyreek Hill. And listen, he was going through, Tua was injured. He was injured. He had the wrist injury earlier on in the year, the cop stuff that was going on. There was a lot going on here with Tyreek Hill. I think he gets the ball a little bit more this year. And he didn't even have a 1,000-yard season for the first time in forever. So I think with Tua back, if Tua can stay healthy, Tyreek will be back. I don't think he's a 1,700-yard guy, but it wouldn't be shocking to see him back in this 1,400-yard, 1,200-yard range, somewhere in there. I think Tyreek Hill is much better than what he proved last year. He didn't look like he had lost a step or anything. It just obviously was a different team with Tua being affected last year. How do you guys feel about the picks so far? How y'all feel about the picks so far? Taking Henry over Gentry in full PPR is insane. How many catches do you think Ashton Gentry's getting this year, if we're being honest? How many? Fading his own Niners. Yeah. You know, I did miss on Jacobs. I probably should have took Jacobs over Brees Hall or McCaffrey. This is the personal, you know what I'm saying, personal picks right now. Yeah, I ain't fading my own Niners, bro. It's just my Niners ain't the same. I like both, but I think CMC bounces back, gets back to an old self. He probably could have 25 a game, like 25 points a game, but like you also got to bank on him being healthy for the whole year, which is part of the issue. CMC has Achilles tendonitis. It will never heal to 100%. It's something like that named medically. You know what? That's kind of the issue I have with him, to be honest. That's the main issue I have. He's too talented. Is there to take him at that number? R&R? I don't know what that R&R is there to take him at that number. Brees in a contract year, exactly. CMC's condition is chronic. It'll flare up again. All on Guerrero later. I don't know that I'm in on Guerrero, but yeah, it's the CMC thing is just very concerning. Very concerning. Why take that risk around two when they're equal potential players around that? Exactly. That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to McCaffrey. I think if you can get him here in this back end of the second, I'd feel a lot better about it than like the top here with some of these other names. All right. Moving on. The top names on Sleepers board right now are Brock Bowers, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Trey McBride. And now I'm not taking either of these guys. Ladd McConkey. Those guys aren't going to be on my board right now. I'm going a little bit further down. The next receiver I want to talk about, Garrett Wilson, who I think Garrett Wilson with Justin Fields is going to have an amazing year. We talked about DJ Moore and Justin Fields. And DJ Moore had an incredible season with Justin Fields when that was his only receiver. And this seems to be, you know, when you can get an elite talent paired up with a quarterback that does like to force it to receivers, I'm okay with this. Like Justin Fields may not throw for 3,500 yards, but if he throws for 3,000, Garrett Wilson's getting 1,500 of them yards. So, and I think Garrett Wilson, obviously last year getting Davante Adams was not ideal for him, but he was still able to finish with 1,100 yards. We haven't seen a true breakout season from him, which is the biggest concern. But even last year, he was the wide receiver 10, wide receiver 15. I don't know why they have their ranking so far off. He was the wide receiver 15 last year, which was a down season for him. And a lot of that came after the Davante Adams trade. That was when a lot of his lower games came, 18 yards for him. I'm okay with taking Garrett Wilson here in the second round. I think a better season is in store for Garrett Wilson. All right, next up, after Garrett Wilson, let's go Josh Jacobs here. And Josh Jacobs obviously was the RB. I want to say he was the RB6 last year. Was it RB6? RB5 last year. And he's as consistent. Like it's just the same scenario. They're running it back. They use him down the stretch, had a touchdown to finish the season, 8 straight games to finish the season. So Josh Jacobs, it feels like every other year he has a bad year, but I'm banking on Josh Jacobs being yet again elite. I think in the second round here, you're getting RB1 value this late. You don't really get that a lot. So I like Josh Jacobs in the spot, same offense, not a sexy pick. And I think that's why he's been slipping in drafts. All right. When it comes to receiver, there's one other name I got to get up. Okay. There's one other name I want to get up before we start reaching on some of the running backs. I think the running backs this is where the run on running backs would happen for me, is after this pick. No, it's time for running back now. The name I'm looking at right now is Davante Adams, just so you guys know. Davante's going to have a very strong season paired with Stafford. T. Higgins is also consideration. Terry McLaurin, obviously off a strong year last year. All consideration at receiver. But it is time to go running back, and it's probably not the running back you're thinking of. You might be thinking Ashton Jeanty here. You might be thinking Bucky Irving here. Hell, you might even be thinking Chase Brown here. But I think Kyren Williams is being a little disrespected in drafts this year, at least in his rankings. I mean, Kyren Williams is elite, and even getting Davante Adams is going to open up things more. But Sean McVay does like to pound his running backs into the ground. He's finished as the RB7 in back-to-back seasons now. And I think the biggest concern if you draft Kyren Williams, or maybe you don't have him in the top 5 to 6 running backs like I do, is will these touchdowns be there? Is he going to get double-digit touchdowns with Puka Nacua healthy for a full season, with Davante Adams in town? And the big thing that I think about is, like, he's been able to rock with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua for both of these years and put up those same numbers. And while I know both have been hurt and not been in the lineups, like, there's no saying that Davante Adams is going to stay healthy for an entire year. Puka, there's no saying he's going to be healthy again for an entire season. Kyren Williams has been the consistent person in this offense over the last 2 years. So I think he's been pushed down a little bit. And obviously, like Blake Corum being drafted brought a little concern. But I think Kyren Williams deserves the spot here and is a good bet to still be a top 10 running back, top 10 to 12-ish running back next season. Over some of the guys that I think people want to be in the top 10 to 12. Another running back I'm going to take over Davante Adams right now. Another running back is getting pushed down the board tremendously. Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, who was on a tear to start the season, is being categorically disrespected. You can probably, and these are my rankings too, right? How I think the draft should go. Your draft's going to go way different than this. I promise you this. I promise you. There's no, this is a third or fourth round guy in most drafts. I'm sure Garrett Wilson's probably a third round player. Tyreek might even go third, back in the second, third. Your draft's going to go much different than this. But for now, early rankings, this is about where I have it. Alvin Kamara to me is a player that's going to get force-fed, right? Derek Carr retired abruptly over the last few days. And so we're going to see Alvin Kamara come in and still be a big part of this offense. And even Kellen Moore came out and said that. Big part of the offense here. So we know that that's going to be the case, but the receptions will be there, no matter if it's Spencer Rattler or if it's Tyler Shough. So Alvin Kamara was the number 9 running back, and that was in 14 games. 14 games. Receptions will be there. He will be a big part of the offense. Alvin Kamara, don't let the age fool you, man. He's still a very vital asset on this team. And I think right here is about the spot where I would take Davante Adams as a receiver. He's going to have a phenomenal season as the number 2 receiver with Matt Stafford. And last year he missed a couple games, right? He had an injury there. I think it was a concussion, and then he missed a couple games through the trade when he sat out before the trade. So Davante Adams still finishes the wide receiver 12, and it's still elite. I don't know if people just think he's not elite anymore, but 1,008, and Stafford's going to give him the football. Stafford can carry 2 top 12 receivers, and I think Davante Adams will be that this year. So I know a lot of people are concerned about him. He's great there. He's at a great spot there. All right. Stage. How do y'all feel about Davante? Or how do you feel about the second round? How you feel about the second round? How y'all feel? Thoughts on the Niners signing Mac Jones? Any potential? I'm not big on Mac Jones. I think the thing is Kyle finally got his guy. Kyle wanted him, right? He got his guy. So the wide receivers round 2 guys aren't worth it in my opinion. I'm not mad at that. It's just there's a lot of question marks, Either split wide receivers like committees, or you're having to reach on some of them. I can see that, and I think it is worth it in this draft to kind of wait on receiver or get one guy that you really believe in, because there's a lot of receivers later. And like I said, in my drafts, it's going to be different. When we watch my drafts, but Ladd McConkey is going to be in the second round. JSN's probably going to be in the second round. T. Higgins might be in the second round. So in your drafts, you can also be strategic. You won't have to reach on players. This is how I'm ranking them. You might be able to get them in your drafts a little bit later, which is fine. That boy strapping Ladd. Listen, we ain't Ladd. I'm not as confident as Ladd having another season like he did last year. Yeah, mid backing guys. If 12 J-Hens pick Bowers would be a third rounder, yeah. Bowers is going to be a third rounder. I don't think that – I know a lot of people love Brock Bowers, and I love what he did last year, and he was an outlier. I just think I'm going to wait on tight end. I am going to wait on tight end this year. No Monty. David Montgomery? No David Montgomery. I think Adam's kind of high. Man, I know you don't like the old players, so I think Davante Adams is more of a name at this point. So, I just pulled up the numbers. If he's 1,110, is that going to shock anybody? That's not a name at this point. That's production. I'm going to wait on QB and tight end too. Yeah. So that's the thing is I think, it's probably going to maybe Brock Bowers should be ranked higher, but if I'm taking players and this is who's on my board, that's how I'm taking them. So, all right, I'm going to go over the second round real quick. And like I said, I know these are going to piss people off, but it is what it is. All right. Here's how the second round of your draft should go. With the first pick of the second round, Puka Nacua. Now, Puka Nacua enters a crowded receiver room now that the team has signed Davante Adams, but he's proven year after year that he could be a wide receiver one when healthy. The key is staying healthy. Number two, the number 2 pick in the second round, Nico Collins. And I have some concerns about Nico Collins after he finished the season with only 100-yard game. The good part is he doesn't have a whole lot of competition. It's just Christian Kirk and 2 rookies and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. So Nico Collins should still be the alpha for the Houston Texans if CJ Stroud can remain an elite quarterback. With the third pick, Drake London should go. Now, all these receivers are kind of the same, but Drake London finishes the wide receiver 6 last year off of a strong season. Michael Penix's development is key here. With the 4th pick in the second round, Jonathan Taylor should go. Now, Jonathan Taylor, obviously Jonathan Taylor has been the running back 1 in the past, but we have to see him stay healthy. And I think that's the big component here. If he stays healthy, he has a chance to smash his ADP. With the 5th pick in the second round, I took Breece Hall. Listen, I know there's a lot of concerns about him being in the committee, but Breece Hall is a season removed away from being the number 2 running back in all of fantasy. And even if his carries are taken away, if he can stay on the field enough to pass catch, Breece Hall is again going to be a high-end running back 1. With the 6th pick here in the second round is Christian McCaffrey. And listen, I know Christian McCaffrey has top 3 running back upside, RB1 upside even, but I have a lot of concerns about his Achilles injury and hope that he can stay healthy for a season. I'm just not willing to bet on it. Christian McCaffrey can go here, just not in the first round. With the 7th pick, a lot of concerns about Tyreek Hill as well. And Tyreek Hill is one of those players who you either believe in him or you don't. You believe in Tua and staying healthy or you don't. Or you think Tyreek Hill is over the hill, no pun intended. I believe in Tyreek Hill, his speed, and that he's still elite. I would draft him here. With the 8th pick in the second round, Garrett Wilson. Now, listen, I know Justin Fields is a quarterback a lot of people don't think can throw the football very well. I believe in Garrett Wilson. I believe in Justin Fields. And Justin Fields has targeted his wide receiver 1 heavily in the past, a la DJ Moore. I like Garrett Wilson to have a career year this year under new offensive passing game coordinator there. And I like Garrett Wilson to have a career year under the new passing game coordinator here for the Jets. I butchered that line. Anyway, I like Garrett Wilson to have a career year. With the 9th pick, I took Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs has been a rock. There's just not a lot of upside here. Same situation in Green Bay. Probably use him a lot of the same way. Probably going to end up being a mid-tier RB1. Kyren Williams is with my next pick. And now listen, I know a lot of people are going to want Ashton Jeanty here or maybe another upside pick, but Kyren Williams has been the rock for this Rams offense over the last couple of years when Puka's been there healthy, when Cooper Kupp has been healthy. Give me Kyren Williams, who has a really solid floor here in the second round. At the 11th pick, Alvin Kamara should go. And listen, I've seen Alvin Kamara go middle to back into the 3rd round, even top of the 4th round. He's being disrespected. On a team that just lost Derek Carr and doesn't have a whole lot of weapons, Alvin Kamara will continue to be force-fed in the passing game. Feel good about him in PPR leagues. And with the last pick in the second round, Davante Adams. Now, I know a lot of people don't believe in Davante Adams, but he's still an elite receiver and just a year removed away from being a top 10 receiver categorically. Like, we thought of him as a top 10 guy. Davante Adams now goes to the Rams, where he'll be the second in line. I think Stafford can hold 2 top 12 tight ends, or I think Stafford can hold 2 top receivers. No issue at all. So Davante Adams should still be high on your board. He finished with over 1,000 yards last season yet again and should be a good bet to have around 10 touchdowns. Let me know what you guys think about the second round in the comments. All right. Third round. Damn, we got to get to the third round. Let me get to these questions real quick. What up? How was Mother's Day? It was good, man. Had a chance to chill out. We took my wife to dinner on Saturday night and then hung out all day yesterday. Got to see my mama as well. Shout out to my mama. But yeah, it was good. Mother's Day was good for me, man. So no complaints. Oh boy. Wait on tight end this year because of what happened last year. I think it's just a good wait on tight end year because all the tight ends are going to go a little earlier than they should. And there's some good value at tight end this year too. We are not going with Rashad Bateman. Evan Ingram, I have him rated really high as well. Could Emeka Egbuka actually be a stud in year one depending on how things go? I think unless Chris Godwin is just not ready for the start of the year, which I think he's going to be ready, unless he's just not ready for the start of the year, I don't really see a path to relevance for Emeka Egbuka this year. I know they drafted him early, but I just don't see it. Caleb Johnson going to feast this year? I think he's underrated. He's rated outside the top 30 running backs right now, but I think he could have Najee Harris type value immediately. So I like Caleb Johnson. I think it was a perfect landing spot for him, not just because of the black and yellow, but I think it was just a good landing spot for him. Yo, J-Hen, messing with the new logo. How we rocking? Appreciate you. Yeah, J-Hen Fantasy. More to come with J-Hen Fantasy. If you have not subscribed or followed the pages yet, follow the Instagram and TikTok pages, J-Hen Fantasy and Fantasy Football Training Camp. Those are both up and live, have information on there. So a lot more in store for both of those coming up here very soon. But appreciate you rocking with it. I might draft Bowers or an elite quarterback early, giving the rookie running back talent. Yeah, because you can get a lot of running backs late. Quinshon Judkins, I like him a lot later. Travion Henderson goes a lot later. So, I mean, Travis Etienne's going outside the top 25 running backs. There's plenty of running back talent. I think there's just a ton of talent in general in the drafts this year. So, I think there's a lot of value to go around. I'm very curious to see how my thoughts change, how injuries will shake things up, and then how other rankings will be as we get closer to the season. I'm going to try to go a little quicker here through the third round. I'm not going to talk as much about the players, but I'm going to try to go a little bit more through. I'm going to try to go a little through the picks a little quicker. T-Mac, the next Mike Evans. Yeah, disrespected. Wide receiver 1. I'm disrespecting him right now. Honestly, I don't mean to, but it's just the upside, I think, is a little capped. And Debo's there now. I'll talk about him in a minute. I asked last time I was on stream, but now that Pickens did get moved, DK's value changing for better or for worse. Arrows up for DK Metcalf, who should be a top 15-ish type player now, wide receiver-wise, top 15 receiver-ish. Calvin Ridley is sleeper. I think it all depends on Cam Ward. I don't know that I would call him a sleeper, but yes, there's elements of a sleeper there. Depends on how good the Titans offense can be. I think if it just depends on who you want to draft around there. Like for me, I end up drafting a lot of running backs around that Calvin Ridley range. There's a couple of running backs that go there, like those rookie running backs we're talking about. So I think Calvin Ridley does have some sleeper appeal. I'm probably not going to have him as a sleeper this year, but he does have some sleeper appeal.